body language.
Bond. Bond.
You may like him, you may hate him. One thing is undeniable. He portrays the epitome of masculinity in cinema. The abandonment, emotional, and psychological issues aside, he is someone many men are trying to emulate. But this isn't the smartest move to make if success is what you're after. Nonetheless, there is an abundance of things you can and will learn from analyzing his body language. Behaviors you should and behaviors you shouldn't adopt. I've selected a scene with a female portraying high status behavior, so the female channel members get some value out of it as well. We'll also cover 3 forms of gazes, one of which is the power gaze. Very useful stuff for your own social interactions. Now let's dive in.
Sir, how may I help you?
I'd like to cash this in, please.
One moment, sir.
Jimzbond has to wait for her to get back. What do most people do now? They get impatient, start fidgeting, keep staring at the wall until the person gets back. But here is what he does. He waits a second, then turns around to observe everything. His torso, where his vital organs are residing, is wide open. Even though he is at a place that is unknown for him, he seems to be at ease. I know you guys are wondering, Shaiyan, what about his hands in his pockets? Isn't that a no-go? Because hands in a pocket usually convey shyness and powerlessness, right? Are you expecting the contrary? No, because hands in a pocket usually does convey that, but what did I say in the very first body language video? Context, congruence, and clusters. Because it could also mean that he is cold, unlikely in this case, but there are multiple meanings behind a single behavior. Look at his elbows here. They are flared out. If James felt shy and powerless, he'd make himself small, taking less space like a submissive animal does so they are a physically smaller target and show no threat. Flaring out your elbows is incongruent to that. Also, look at his face. Non-reactive. No leakage of any kind of stress indicators. Here is something that goes against what most people have told you so far. Hands in the pocket can make you look extremely sexy. But don't do it in the manner Jimzbond is doing here. You might ask why not? It's Jimzbond, if he does this, it must be good. Listen, some people erroneously view keeping hands in the pocket as suspicious or deceptive. An evolutionary argument could be well made because who knows what you are hiding here. We've covered this when we covered the Roman handshake. Also, when you have your hands in your pocket, you come over as less trustworthy. So, how would I recommend putting hands in a pocket if you prefer to look a bit more nonchalant and get that sexy look? Here's what you do. Stick your thumbs out. And my personal go-to, even when I'm walking, is one hand in a pocket with the thumb protruding, whilst the other one swings like a pendulum. Very hypnotic, and for me at least, aesthetically pleasing. The question this begs is why does protruding the thumb make that much a difference? Thumb displays are positive signals. You know this inherently, like, you're hitting that like button? Good job. Thumbs are used to display dominance, assertiveness, and sometimes even an aggressive attitude. It is also a sign of superiority. A man will use protruding thumbs around women to whom he is attracted to. The thumbs sticking out of the pockets point to the genital area. Usually this happens subconsciously, but for the female viewers, it is valuable information. Also, this behavior is often seen with high status individuals, because the thumb sticking out of the pocket is a high confidence display. Notice how he doesn't move his head to observe the movements here, but does this with his eyes. Alphas move relatively little. However, it would be a foolish strategy to be like this all the time. I'll get back to this later on. You can see her being wide open and the center of attention. The men are pointing towards her, and she is standing on a higher ground in the middle of the room. Plus, look at this territorial display. She takes claim of the stairway. Spread out, alphas, man and woman, do this a lot. However, there is a difference in territorial displays between alpha males and alpha females, particularly when they are sitting. See, men tend to spread their legs apart, and females, for obvious reasons, don't. I'll cover that more in depth in another video. Look how smooth she turns around. She could go clockwise. I mean, it would be the shortest distance. But she likes to make it a bit more dramatic, get a bit more attention, and turns anti-clockwise. Notice the leaning to the side. Unfortunately, you can't see the hips well here, but this serves to highlight her femininity. Locked eye contact. Observe this well. I'll play it again at half speed. James turns his body but keeps his eye focused. This is a trait observed in a lot of high status people. This mismatch isn't something natural. You have to master this. It adds subconsciously to your charisma. It's giving you attention, but at the same time disengaging. This can only be a product of your non-reactiveness. You're taking deliberate charge of your response to the multitude of stimuli around you.
Good fortune tonight, sir.
James looks at them, the suitcase, and then back at her. She moves very slow and elegantly. This is the body language of a high-status lady.
Let's hope so.
James barely looks the man in the eyes. Again, high-status attention is hard to come by. They're on their purpose, but guys, don't go around and not looking anyone in the eyes. Don't take this to the extreme. It is a subtle difference. Short smile here. You also will notice that high-status individuals smile less than the people around them, and if they smile, they won't show their teeth often. The reason is because laughing is inherently a submission signal, but this doesn't mean they are less fun.
With compliments of the house.
Thank you.
The high-status walk, swaying smooth shoulders, head held high, activated scapula. You briefly see him looking down here. I believe he's looking at the chips he just got handed. Straight off the get-go, you notice her palms facing outward. Females and feminine, even gay men tend to smoke like this in the majority of cases. Heterosexual women tend to smoke more like this, while heterosexual men tend to smoke more like this. It's exposing versus hiding, feminine versus masculine. Besides this, you also see her being a little closed off. Here's the barrier with which she is supporting her other hand.
Now you can afford to buy me a drink.
Maybe I'll even stretch to 2.
James locks eye contact, waits for a few seconds, then comes back with a simple, witty line.
Buy me a drink.
Maybe I'll even stretch to 2.
I mentioned verbal warfare. Verbal dominance, yeah, that sounds better. James is a master of it. One of the key components is to react out of the usual. There is a technique which I won't give right now because that deserves an entire video on its own and it has to be explained in proper context, but James uses that same tactic here. And the result? Wittiness.
Now you can afford to buy me a drink.
Maybe I'll even stretch to 2. I'm guessing I've got 4 million euros in here.
Not bad.
Now James is bragging sarcastically here, meaning he brags in such a manner to make her impressed by it, but doing it in a way letting her know that this is his intention. It's a fun little form of banter that is established.
I'm guessing I've got 4 million euros in here.
Not bad.
Once done talking, he turns away. Friends, I'm going to keep repeating this in every video because it is a key component of alpha behavior. Alpha's eye contact must be earned. They tend to give more eye contact when they're speaking and less when they are listening, portraying my attention is harder to come by. But again, don't go around not looking people in the eye when talking. Now I know how contradicting this all seems. Don't do it too much, but don't do it too little. If you give too much attention, you seem too eager and needy and your attention is cheap. But not giving it at all makes you seem so disinterested that people shouldn't bother. Or even arrogant. Or with certain other clauses makes you seem shy. Now, where is the balance? Friends, opt for looking someone in the eyes about 75 to 85% of the time when speaking and 55 to 75% when listening.
I like this game.
Well, why don't we play another?
I don't gamble.
Watch your face closely. There's a micro expression that says a lot.
Well, why don't we play another?
I don't gamble.
It's the micro expression of disgust. She really despises gambling.
I don't gamble. I'm not very lucky.
A little like our friend in Shanghai.
Still no eye contact.
I've been waiting to see who would redeem the chip. You made such a bold entrance into a little drama.
Did I overcomplicate the plot?
See how utterly relaxed his face is. It's as if he has Botox injected everywhere except his mouth region. Thomas Shelby has this as well when he speaks. Now here's where you should be careful when you guys emulate them. I got many Instagram messages the past 2 weeks asking about how to emulate or be like some character or another. I've responded to every single one of you thus far, but here's where the danger of mimicry is. If you go around like this in the world and not use hand gestures, talk in a monotone voice, just to look and sound alpha as a Hollywood actors, you are missing the point. Realize that what we are analyzing are meta behaviors. Movies are a distillation of people's lives and show the most important parts that connect the narrative together. How boring would it be if we continuously saw every actor going to the toilet or brushing their teeth, wake up, etc, etc. So the behaviors we see aren't ideal, but not suited to be adopted 24/7. For instance, alphas tend to speak less with hand gestures, be more non-reactive. However, if you're giving a presentation at work or explaining complex matters and talk in a monotone voice with short sentences, then you're very unlikely to get your message across. You become ineffective. You may look alpha, but you'll become the opposite. How would it come across if I stopped talking without hand gestures? Speak in a monotone voice and squinting my eyes. Just talking like this doesn't get a message across well to you. So then the question becomes, what should you do? Here's my tip regarding this. When talking, use hand gestures there where they are effective to get your message across. Because the higher goal of communication is not to portray yourself as being a certain way, it's the transference of information and or emotion. Efficacy should be prioritized. However, it doesn't mean you can't optimize your behavior to have your cake and eat it too. And that is the purpose of showing you these behaviors and breaking it down. Learning to see what the positive sides of their behavior and mindset are. Now, when you are listening, tone down your movements. Slow it down. Friends, I'm gonna say it again, don't blindly copy things.